Hello, 7th graders. So today let's review on how to write and solve proportions. So a proportion is simply a statement that two ratios are equal. Now, to solve a proportion, there are some strategies. The first one would be using mental math. The second one would be using multiplication, and the third one would be using cross products. For this video, I'm going to use two strategies, which is using mental math and using cross products. So let's start with using mental math. So if we have this type of problem, we need to figure out what x is. 3 over 8 equal to x over 24. Now, when you solve a proportion using mental math, you need to think that the product of 8 and what number is 24. So that means 8 is being multiplied to what number to get 24. So you need to know your multiplication facts as usual. So we know 8 times 3 gets you 24. So whatever is your factor you multiply to 8, use the same factor that you to multiply to 3. So 3 times 3 would be 9. So x is equal to 9. That's mental math. It's easier. Now, when you do cross products, you can also, like for this example, 7 times what gives you 21. So we know that 7 times 3 gives you 21. We also know that 13 times 3 would get you 39. But sometimes, so using mental math here would be much easier than using cross products. But for the sake of knowing the strategy, so let's use cross product. So cross products is where we multiply the numerator opposite to its denominator, or the extremes, and we'll multiply the other ones as well. Now, we do 7 times x, this is what we have, is equal to 13 times 21. So this should simplify to 273. And 7 times x is 7x. Next, we need to isolate for x. Solve for x, so isolate x. So we divide this by 7, we divide this by 7, and that gives us x is equal to 39. Remember, you need to review your one-step equation, solving one step. Now, let's try to do another example, okay? Now, in writing proportions, it says here, find the value of x so that the ratios 5 to 8 and x to 40 are equivalent. So the first thing we need to do is write them out. So 5 to 8 and x to 40. Remember, order matters. 5 is mentioned first. That's why we write 5. And 8 is mentioned second. So 8 is your denominator. Equal to, x is mentioned first. So that should be your numerator. And 40 will be your denominator. So again, use whatever strategy that you want to use. Did I say it right? Strategy. There you go. So now, 8 times what gives you 40? 5. That means 5 times 5 gives you 25. For this example, they use the multiplication strategy. You can use mental math. You'll get the same answer. Now let's do some problems. Solve the proportion for number 1. So I'm gonna go back and forth to either using mental math or using cross products as a strategy to solve these problems. And also, you can pause this video first, do the problems yourself, then play it and see if you got the right answer, okay? Now, for number 1, let me zoom in. Now, we got 3/4 is equal to x over 8. Which strategy do you think is easier to use? Mental math, or do you want to do cross products? Now, look at the relationship of 4, it becomes an 8. Now, what did you multiply to 4 to get to 8? And you know you multiplied by 2. So the same thing that you're going to do to your numerator at the top, times 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. That means x times 2 is equal to 6. So x is equal to 6. Easy, right? So this is using mental math. Now, number 2. We got 6 to 54. And we get 11 is equal to y. We need to know what y is. Again, let's use mental math since the values are easier to figure out. So what's 6 times a number gives you 54? And that would be what? Absolutely, 9. So 11 times 9 would give you 99. So that means y is equal to 99. Okay? Now let's do number 3. Or is number 3? Okay, here you go. 7 over 10 is equal to z over 25. Now, let's try to use cross product. Again, from the name itself, cross product, we multiply 7 and 25. So 7 times 25, or I can use this parentheses, make it easier. And also is equal to, make sure you have your equal sign, because a proportion is a equation, a statement that tells that two ratios are equal. And 10 times z, 10 times z, that's my z. Now let's simplify this. 7 times 25 would be what? 175. Equal to, what's 10 times z? And that's going to be 10z. Again, let's solve for z. Now, this is a multiplication problem, so let's do its inverse operation. Let's undo multiplication by using division. So we're going to divide by its coefficient, divide by 10, and you'll get z is equal to, if you divide 175 divided by 10, that gives you 17.5, and that is your z. Now, you can replay the video again if you need more time to process this information. Now, let's move on to number 4. Now, you can pause the video and solve for this. If you want to, for number 4, what we can do is use cross product. Now, there's another way to do this, really. There's 2 ways to do this. It's either we use cross products right away. 8 times 6 is equal to 30 times a. Let me show you that. Here we go. So 8 times 6, that gives you what? 48. Equal to 30 times a, that gives you 30a. That's my 30. There we go. Now let's solve for a. Isolate a. Again, this is a multiplication problem, so let's undo multiplication by dividing. So that's going to be divided by 30, divided by 30. So a is equal to 48 over 30. Now let's simplify this. Remember, we need to simplify our fractions. That means bring it to its lowest term, that there's no number that we can divide both evenly aside from 1. Did I say that right? I think I did. All right, so 48 divided by 30. Now, what number can we divide evenly to 48 and 30? And if you know your multiplication facts, we know that it's going to be, what? 6. Because we know 30 divided by 6 is 5. 48 divided by 6 will be 8. And that is your A. So 5 times 6 is 30. 8 times 6 is 48. That's why it's 8 over 5. Now, there's another way of doing it, really. So if you don't want to use a lot of values, you can actually simplify this ratio. Okay? Remember, 8 over A is a ratio. A is equal to, we can simplify 30 over 6. Now, we know 30 over 6 means 30 divided by 6 gives you 5, a whole number 5 over 1. Now, don't get confused. It's either you just use cross products right away for number 4, or if I want to use lesser numbers, lesser values, I can just simplify 30 over 6, this too. All right, this is a fraction. So I can divide this, so 30 divided by 6, or divided by 6 divided by 6 gives me 5 over 1. Now, if I use cross product, would I get the same answer? All right, let's find that out. So 8 times 1, so 8 times 1 equal to 5 times A, 5 times A. So 8 times 1 we know is 8 is equal to 5 times A we know is 5A. Now, solve for A. Again, let's divide by 5. Let's divide by 5. Because we need to undo multiplication by dividing. We need to isolate A. So this becomes a 1. So A is equal to 8 over 5. So it's actually the same thing as the other, as the solution on the left side. So it's up to you which one you want to use. Simplifying the fraction would make your numbers have a lesser value and it's easier to manipulate. Okay? All right, so let's try to do number 5. Okay, there you go. All right, for this problem, let's try this out. Now, what do we do here? Let's think. I'll pause for a minute and try to brainstorm. We can use cross product. So we can do 18 times 7. So 18 times 7, oops, that's my 8, equal to, now let's do the other one. It says 3 times x minus 5. So we do 3 times x minus 5. Okay? Now, knowing about our algebraic expressions, what do we need to do with 3 times x minus 5? It starts with letter D-I-S-T-R. What? Distributive property. Exactly. So we got 3 times x. Apply distributive property. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times minus 5 would be minus 15. And then 18 times 7 would get you what? If you use your calculator, that should give you 126. All right. Now, remember our two-step equation, solving two-step equations, okay? Step 1 remember, is to either add or subtract. Now, there's two sides of the equation. Our goal is to isolate the variable. So first thing we need to do is get rid of minus 15 on the variable side. Get rid of the constant on the variable side, either add or subtract. So always do the inverse. It's minus 15, we do the opposite, plus 15 on one side, and plus 15 on the other side. Okay? Whatever you know one side, you do on the other side. Property of equality. So that's a 0. What's left is 3x is equal to, what's 126 minus 15? Not minus, plus 15. I'm sorry. So 126 plus 15, that gives you 141. Now let's solve for x. We're going to divide by 3, and that should give us 47. Oops, is it clear? All right, here you go. Let me zoom out. Okay, now let's do number 6. Now, number 6. Same process. Now, you can simplify this if you want to. Divide by 2, and you will get 1 over what's half of 72. That should help you out, 36. If not, you can just use cross product right away. So 9 times 72 is equal to 12 times 2w. All right. Now, 9 times 72 would give you, if you use the calculator, that should give you 648 equal to 12 times 2w. That should give you 24w. There's only one step. We need to isolate the variable. Solve for w by undoing its multiplication, which is division. We're going to divide by 24, divide by 24. That equals a 1. What's left is 1w, it's just w. 648 divided by 24, that should give you 27. Fairly easy. All right, next. It says find the value of x so the ratios are equivalent. So this is not written in fraction form. So let's write this in fraction form. So again, 3 over x is equal to 8 over 12. Now, what we can do is we can simplify 8 over 12, or we can just do cross products right away. Okay? So it's up to you. So you can pause, or you can just solve right away. So now let's do cross product. We got 3 times 12 is equal to x times 8. Okay? So 3 times 12, that should give you 36 equal to 8x. Then we divide by 8. That becomes a 1x equal to 36 divided by 8. What would it be? Or you can simplify. What number can you divide to 36 and 8 evenly? And we know it's going to be, let's try 4. 36 divided by 4 is 9. 8 divided by 4, that gives you 2. So the answer is 9 over 2, or you can just use a mixed number 4 and 1/2. Okay, so either of these two would be correct. This is for number, what number is this again? Number 7. All right, now let's do number 8. So we got 9 over 12 is equal to x over 60. Now we can do mental math if you want to. Okay, now if we do mental math for number 8, 12 is multiplied to what number gives you 60? If you do not know that, what you can do is just divide 60 divided by 12, and that gives you 5. So that means the factor that we use to multiply 12 to get to 60 is 5. So times 5 times 5 as well at the top. So 9 times 5, that gives you 45. So x is equal to 45. Now you can also use cross product if you want to. So whatever method you want to use it. Whatever you feel comfortable, you use that. So for number 9, you can pause the video and solve number 9. But I'm past 15 minutes. So the answer for number 9 would be x is equal to 56. If you got 56, then you got it right. Hope this helps.